Hey everybody, Eric Dorward here with the Spartan Rocketry Club, and today we are going to be finishing the construction part of our Estes Low Boom SST. So in the intervening time, the other fin is now attached. I've checked the alignment, it looks pretty good, and that's great. Now, the last major bit of construction is we need to take the engine pods that we spent so long building, and we are going to attach them, and they go on the underside of this. So before I do anything else, I'm going to test fit that they actually fit in the slots. That one looks fine, and that one looks fine as well. So great, they fit. Now they are going to be covered on the upper side by these little pieces here. The instructions said I was supposed to round the top of one of them, so I've done that, just sanding away. And these are going to get glued on to the top first, interestingly enough. Personally, I would have thought it would have made more sense to attach them second after the pods are in place, but I don't know, whatever. So they need to go so that there's half an inch of overlap, essentially, at the end. Now, there's no mark or anything like that, so we're going to have to lightly mark onto the balsa. Now, aside from the fact that you're making a mark and you don't necessarily want a mark, pencil doesn't just it doesn't just make a dark spot. It can also deform the wood if we push too hard. So we really do not want to do that. Anyway, so I'm going to gently make a mark here, half an inch. Same deal with the back side here, and I am just kind of eyeballing to make sure that this is straight. It's not going to be really perfect. This is, it's not, it is somewhat structural in that it gives the pods a little bit more to anchor to when we glue them in place. However, it's not like the end all be all of everything. So I want it centered. I want it to look nice, but it's not going to be hyper important if they're not completely lined up properly. All right, so make sure you're gluing the underside. That would be the side that you did not round. So there we go. Little clog, that'll happen. On goes the glue. This is, as I said, it's kind of structural, so we're not going to worry about doing the 2 layers of glue because that shouldn't be necessary. But we do want to spread this out. And that might not have been enough glue. If not, we always have the opportunity to add more. In general, it's better to have to add extra than to deal with having too much. All right, so there's glue on that. I'm going to try to not get my fingers in it and fail. And I want to do my best to line it up with the holes. Unfortunately, there's not much of a guide here to make sure that this is pointed the right direction. So you're kind of on your own to get it looking right. Now we can, I don't even know. Do we want this and this parallel? No, probably not, because, we want the main tube in this parallel. That would be tricky. The best thing we could do in here is put in the tape roll, but it's not quite, I don't know, it might be wide enough. Even that, I don't have anything that's the exact width to double check, but I don't think it's terribly important. Once I have both of them on, I'm going to hold it up and I will take a look to see how straight it is. It doesn't, you could probably see it better than I can right now, but it doesn't look bad. And again, all we really need is for this to be covering both of those slots, because that's its job, to cover them up so that it looks nice instead of having a balsa joint just kind of sticking out. All right, so the other one, again, lining up with the mark I made and trying to get it centered. And that one I put probably more glue than I needed because it's slip sliding along here. The other one, I just barely had enough, I think. And that actually made my life easier. So it's probably pretty good. Now let's just have a look and see if these are, they should be more or less centered with each other. This one is definitely not pointing the same direction though, so I'm going to adjust that. And that looks pretty good. And the alignment in the back is fine. All right, so I don't, in theory, I suppose I should let the glue dry on that, but I don't feel that that's truly pressing. The likelihood that I bump this in any meaningful way while I'm attaching the back, it's not that high. And even if it is, what's the worst that could happen? It could slide a little bit. So I'm going to flip this over, and there are two things we need to do on the back. One, of course, is attach the pods. The other thing we need to do is attach the launch lug. The launch lug is supposed to go 2 inches from this joint up the the side that is toward the top as you see it. And so 2 inches is approximately here. I'm going to mark that on the tube rather than the wood again because I don't want to make any extraneous indentations into the wood. So, I'm going to put the glue on the lug. I'm going to do this first because it's, I don't know, I guess I was just thinking about it. It doesn't really matter. It shouldn't affect things one way or the other. There we go. I'm going to smooth this out, but again, I'm not going to bother with 2 layers of glue. It's just a launch lug. Provided I have enough glue, it's not going to get dislodged. Anyway, this is going right in the crack between the body tube and the fin. That looks fine. This is going to get a fillet eventually. Actually, there's going to be a lot of fillets in this, but that should be fine. All right, last but not least for the main construction is we are going to glue the pods. The pods, yeah, so where are we going to glue? Well, the instructions are somewhat vague because they have the pods shown flipped over, but I think we should be able to put glue basically on all the wood here that is exposed to the top. So I'm going to put a fairly thick layer in the middle here like so, and I'm then going to spread it out. Like so. The tricky part would be to get the glue into a little gap here between, there we go, between the little peg part that is sticking out. And wall. This one looks like it's there we go. Okay. Let's make sure that we put this facing the right direction. It should have the intake here and pointing back like that. So it's going to hang over the back by quite a bit. So here we go. And this should be fairly straightforward, although you never know. And then just push it in. And I'm going to hold it snug here. Not because I think it's going anywhere, but we'll just give the glue a little bit of time to set up. There's no harm in that. That should be good. Just make sure I didn't bump this thing. Might have a little bit. Now that the engine pod is on, you can actually look down the fin and see if this wood piece here is lined up with the pod. And it is now. It wasn't quite to begin with. So it's a good thing, actually, I think, that I didn't let the glue completely set on this because it was still able to, slide a little bit. All right, same deal with this piece. Same approach. A good amount of glue, spread it thin. And yeah, I didn't put 2 layers of glue on this. I hope I don't regret that. But I mean, there's a lot of real estate here. So while it would be nice to have this joint as strong as possible, I don't really think it needs it. Hopefully, most of the pressure that would potentially be generated by this big old, what is essentially a rectangle sticking into the wind, will go right through the gaps, because it's hollow. So hopefully most of the wind will blow right through the middle and we won't have any issues, but fingers crossed on that. All right, time to attach this part. And it goes, pushing down. I'm going to flip it over like right away so I can check my alignment here. It's not quite. This one's a little off too. That looks a little better. All right, squeezing to hold it. I mean, honestly, this should not take very much. There's a lot of glue. So there's a lot of surface area, let's say, to hold these things in place. All right, I'm feeling pretty confident about that. Now, that's pretty much it for the construction. Just kind of looking through here, I might want to take a look at these edges and round them a little bit more in a couple spots. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of it for construction. So the last thing that I'm going to do while I have my glue out is I'm going to put fillets at least on the top. So usually I do fillets on one, like either the top or the bottom of the rocket at a time, mostly because you don't want the glue kind of running. And even though you have spread it out, there is the potential for the glue to dribble or pool in places you don't want it. So, oops. The glue goes into the seams. I don't think I have it quite open the whole way. That's going a lot better. All right, and I'm going to do the tail fin as well. This one I can see right at the front, kind of lifted off from the body tube. The back isn't 100% flush either, so not only will the fillets here make it look better, but they should also significantly strengthen what may not be the world's strongest bond. All right, so smooth this out with my finger, just running along, and I'm going to probably get a good amount of excess glue to wipe off. That's why I keep a paper towel handy, just off camera. This one might require a little bit more glue. We'll see. Yeah, see how when I smooth that out, there were kind of like mouths that opened up. Yeah. I'm going to have to probably put a second fillet on this because as the glue dries, I'm likely to get openings like that reappearing. Although, since I have extra glue here on my finger, I might kind of paint that extra glue. Yeah. Because otherwise I was just going to waste it. That's a big blob. Yeah, you can also see sometimes little bubbles form, and the bubbles will pop as the glue dries, and then you'll have gaps in the fillet as well, which again looks ugly and also is not as strong as it could be. So something to be avoided. All right, the other thing I think I'm going to do here is the crack. The crack between the body tube and the cone that we made. I am going to put some glue in there as well. Now, I don't know how effective this is going to be. Glue it's not wood fill, but I should probably at least make an attempt to go with a fillet here, just over the cracks. And I want the glue to just go in there. Now, I'm obviously not going to leave it like this unbrushed. I'm still going to brush it with my fingers, but give that a second. and just kind of, I'm going to have a look at the rest of my rocket too and see if there are any obvious places where my fillet has started to bubble or anything. And I do see a spot there. Actually, that's like a bit of gunk. There's a bit of gunk in the glue, so that's fine. There was another spot back there. Anyway, so I'm going to just brush this glue with my finger. And I do need to put a little bit more back here as well, because I can see that that's not cutting it. All right. And I had a little bit of excess glue run off there. I don't want to dry and to get gunky. Now I got to take care of this one. There we go. I don't think that's going to make a huge difference, honestly, but it's at least worth trying, because it's easy to do with the glue. The glue, at least, it's a liquid. It likes going into cracks. It's kind of the same reason that we put glue on the outsides of these seams as well, if they weren't on quite right. Anyway, so that's it for the construction. I need to do the fillets on the bottom of this, but I'm going to wait until my glue is completely dried here, and I may have to touch up the fillets on the top before that happens. In the next video, I guess we will go over some wood filling techniques, because there's going to have to be a lot of wood filling done here. The grain on this balsa is very noticeable, but even more importantly, there are a lot of little bits of wood deformation. Like right here looks like a scratch that maybe I made, maybe it came that way, I don't know, but that needs to be filled because that looks pretty bad. Anyway, so it's finishing time after this. Thanks for watching. See you next time.